Okay, so glad to see you guys, and I am looking forward to some really good questions. I hope you liked the video. Hi Mari, hi Janine, hi Matthew, Terry. For you guys who have not been a part of my previous YouTube lives, I have a rule. And I actually have a few rules. The questions have to be about the topic of the video. You have to be respectful to others, no profanity, and always end your question in a question mark. I won't be able to get to all of you, but I will do my best to try to answer a handful of questions. I wanted to start with actually, I have some notes here that I took today. Hold on a second, they're right here. And so today, I was in a session talking to one of my clients about covert narcissists. And, as hopefully you guys have seen already, I am always trying to come up with new ways of understanding things, which means to find kind of ways to enlighten others about this very serious problem. And one of the things that it hit me is that covert narcissists, as I've explained, combine the personality disorder of narcissistic personality disorder and elements of sociopathy or antisocial personality disorder. But because covert narcissists are conscious of what they're doing, they also can stay connected to their core shame. And I say that because if you should out them, if you should try to take their masks off, if you should try to prove that they're wrong, they will do everything to avoid feeling embarrassed and humiliated and dealing with their core shame. And you won't know their fear of that shame, but it pushes them to be the beautiful, wonderful, lovable, likable person that they've molded themselves into. And it also motivates them to destroy you should you try to take away their hard-earned, manipulated, and deceptively created fame, trust, legitimacy. Okay, I am now going to take questions, and just remember, I can only take so many questions and end them with a question mark. Matilda, are covert narcissists unable to distinguish between right and wrong, meaning they will cross every line to take you down? Okay, so Matilda, you are confusing someone who wants to destroy you and a covert narcissist. A covert narcissist is a person who is going to hide everything that is bad about them while projecting everything that is good. If you are threatening them, if you are trying to out them, if you are trying to expose them, they will try to do whatever they can to hurt you. And they will cross every line to take you down. But it's not because of their covert narcissism. It's about how you are, well, it is, but not specifically. It's because you are threatening the only thing that gives them pleasure, which is their pretend likable self. And because of that, you must consider the importance of walking away and doing whatever you can to just to get the heck out of there and run. Because if you threaten that covert narcissist, you are going to be taken down. A couple things that I want to remind you, first ask some questions. Is the company that I run and I'm the president of is Self-Love Recovery Institute, or selfloverecovery.com. We are having a summer sale, and all of the seminar videos, we're not talking the YouTube videos, but the videos that are created for educational, inspirational purposes that run between 4 and 6 hours are on sale for 30%. Check it out. Okay. Viscarati, do they behave the way they behave because of, covert narcissists and their behavior has nothing to do with the physical problem or pain. They might have pain, and that's an independent challenge of theirs, but it's not connected, or does it explain what they or why they do it. HB says, I've experienced at least one covert narcissist that was not psychopathic. Okay, first of all, HB, let me be really clear. Psychopathy is different from sociopathy. We are using the term antisocial personality disorder, which is a diagnosis in the DSM. Covert narcissists are not ASPD, or what I say sociopaths. They have traits of ASPD. So just to be really clear, they are not sociopaths or psychopaths. And I don't actually feel compelled always, although I am a licensed psychotherapist, and it's important to represent my my profession, but sometimes the profession has it wrong, and in those cases, and in very few cases, I might challenge. But what I'm saying does not challenge anything. When you diagnose someone, it is acceptable to diagnose them with a disorder and explain that there are other types of symptoms that don't rise to the full diagnosis. So someone could have anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and have depressive symptoms. That's important to say. So watch my videos and you'll understand why I explain it the way that I do, and I hope that they help you. Can you, Christy wants to know, can I give you some information on covert narcissists combined with a quiet borderline personality disorder? Okay, Christy, I just want to remind you, as I'm a licensed psychotherapist that uses the DSM as the basis for my clinical diagnosis. There's tons of people on YouTube that make stuff up and create new terms. So the term quiet borderline personality disorder does not exist. Someone made that up. I don't even know what that means. I know there are personality variables in borderline personality disorder, so I cannot answer your question. But if you want to say, if you want information about a covert narcissist who also has borderline personality features, or has both BPD and NPD, it's possible, but now we're getting into something really complicated. So I wish I could address that more. All right. A lot of questions here. Is it common for them to never apologize and sometimes always be the victim? Okay. If we are talking about narcissistic personality disorder, that is partially true, but not completely true. If we are talking about people with sociopathy or antisocial personality disorder, that is mostly true. The covert narcissists have to shape themselves into what they believe is the version of a person that they will get the most benefit from, whether it's a therapist, a teacher, a minister. And if that person accepts questions, then they will pretend to take on questions. But they're not going to apologize because they have a personality disorder, and people with personality disorders do not believe they have problems. I have a 18-hour seminar package called the 50 Shades of Pathological Narcissism. And I have 35 years in the field, and I put all of the information about pathological narcissism in relationships, narcissistic abuse, and what to do. I really recommend that you check that out or get the book, and I promise there will be answers to a lot of your questions. Okay, moving on, tons and tons of questions. Yes, it is very common, Patricia, for covert narcissists to be spiritual circles or leaders. It's common for them to have any type of job where they can pretend to be altruistic, loving, kind, giving, because those type of people with a sociopathic set of traits, or they can manipulate the people the most. Those are the people that are trusted the most. Therefore, those are the people that can exploit the most. John, I can't go over what if you can't walk away with small children. If you're interested in a consultation or a psychotherapy session, that would take at least an hour, maybe 2 hours to help you with that. I do have a video that I made last week or two that does address that somewhat. What would you expect to see at a covert narcissist? I'm not familiar with the hair psychopathy test, but I know enough about it, I think, to answer the question. Any good psychological test that has very profound elements of validity and reliability are designed to catch people that lie, manipulate, or pretend. And these features are in all the good tests. And so I assume it's the same in the hair psychopathy test. So if they would, what the part of their personality disorder, because as I've explained, covert narcissists have narcissistic personality disorder with sociopathic traits. Their sociopathic traits would show up. So if this test is used to measure ASPD, it might show that they don't have enough traits to be diagnosed ASPD, but have traits to show that they're lying manipulative. But yeah, so we use tests in order to determine what we're looking for. And I would not give a covert narcissist a psychopathy test. I would give them more of a general full range personality test. Dr. Hill Federaro, you're asking like several questions at once. And I happen to be an expert witness and a court legal testimony consultant. So if you have questions about that, and they're almost always complicated, contact us at help@selfloverecovery.com. Quickly, I want to say that the company that I created, Self-Love Recovery Institute, is having an intensive weekend self-love recovery retreat. We've had 8 so far, and I believe this will be our 9th or 7th, and it'll be our 8th. It's in Bellevue. It's a life-changing event. And if you're interested in that, go to our website at selfloverecovery.com or email us at help@selfloverecovery.com. Okay, moving forward, I won't be able to get to all these questions, by the way, but I will do my best to try to answer some of them. CT, what makes a covert narcissist seem to not give up contacting me even when I tell them I don't want them in my life? Well, they have a narcissistic personality disorder. This is why I am urging you guys to purchase, especially since it's on sale, my 18-hour seminar, The 50 Shades of Pathological Narcissism, because you will learn what makes these people tick. They have a personality disorder, which means they don't have empathy, they don't have sympathy. And in the case of a covert narcissist, they have sociopathic traits, which means they want what they want and they don't really care if you have a different opinion. So that is the explanation. It's narcissistic personality disorder with sociopathy, which means they don't have a regard for what you want, because that would require empathy. So if this person was just what I would call a garden variety NPD, he also wouldn't care, but he would give up eventually. You're welcome, Joan. What does Sweet Dream says, what does discard by the covert narcissist look like? Well, people are using the term way too generally. There are so many people on YouTube that are just putting out a bunch of crap, that they're making stuff up. And I don't mean to be divisive. I and some of the better contributors see this according to the mental health standards that are created to understand mental disorders and mental illnesses. And we don't add to it and we don't take it away. So, so to the question, why does what does a discard by the covert narcissist look like? Most pathological narcissists, no, I take that back. A person with narcissistic personality disorder has many variations. And one of those variations is covert narcissism. And they all are very, very different. Now listen carefully. Personality is independent of the disorder. So you can have someone that's funny and charming and be a covert narcissist. You can have someone that's deeply religious and philosophical. You can have someone that's kind of, intense. There are so many different variations. So if someone is discarded by a covert narcissist, it means that they don't need you anymore, because the sociopathy part means that they used you and you have no value. Or the narcissistic part means that something that happened or changed or is different, it means that you no longer are providing them the needs and the desires and the happiness to take care of their narcissistic needs. Penny, my ex-covert narcissist used to talk to himself. Well, again, personality traits. There's a lot of people that talk to themselves, and by itself, it's not diagnosable. It's what they say. So if he's talking to himself and he's saying, well, I want to murder that person, well, that means he's probably homicidal. It's what he says that's more important than just the question. Congratulations, Mima. Okay, end it with a question mark. What do you think of possibility of covert narcissists turning overt when experiencing narcissistic mortification? Or is it possible, rare, or common? Okay, again, these are terms I don't know what they mean, but I'll try to guess. Okay, so a covert narcissist who no longer tries to hide himself because he has been outed. Okay, I don't know who made up the term narcissistic mortification. I assume it means that the covert narcissist has been challenged or confronted and they are in destroy mode, or and that is what I talk about in my videos about covert narcissism, especially the one that is don't take the mask off the covert narcissist, just run. They don't turn to an overt narcissist, which is not a term. They turn, it's NPD. They are triggered to eliminate the threat, and they will eliminate the threat in a way that no one sees it. So they're still a covert narcissist, just not to you. Covert narcissists in the background with people that they love do not hide themselves. Okay, end it with a question mark, and I will try to get to it. Phil says, does covert, wait, I lost you, Phil. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Okay, well, I lost my way, so I might have missed that question, but I'm not going to get caught. I'm looking for a question mark. Okay, Christopher says, is a trait of covert narcissists to be pathological liars? Okay, guys, watch the video. Okay, because you're asking questions that I've already explained, and covert narcissists have sociopathic traits, which means they are liars, cheaters, and manipulators. Absolutely. But a covert narcissist, if they are, there is a difference between a sociopath, someone with ASPD, and a covert narcissist. Someone who is ASPD or a sociopath doesn't really care about relationships and is faking completely. The covert narcissist actually wants to be a part in relationships and has little empathy. So in the case that you don't believe a single word your partner says, well, that sounds sociopathic. He's a pathological liar. But if he's a covert narcissist, then he is loved, beloved, respected, and adored outside of your relationship. So I'm wondering if you got the right term for him. There is no cure for sociopathy, none whatsoever, and none for covert narcissists. Can a covert narcissist also be a malignant narcissist? Nope. Read my book, The Human Magnet Syndrome, and you'll see that I explain that there are 3 pathological narcissists: borderline, narcissistic, and antisocial personality disorder. Narcissistic personality disorder has subtypes. One is a malignant narcissist, one is a covert narcissist, what I call the garden variety or overt narcissist, a productive narcissist. You cannot be 2 of the same. So a malignant narcissist is far different. And since the video was not about malignant narcissists, I'm going to suggest that you watch one of my YouTube videos on the topic, and you'll learn more. You'll have every one of your questions answered. Okay. Sue, you're being removed from financials. Well, I don't know how to elaborate it other than you probably are what many of my clients are self-love, have self-love deficit disorder or codependency, and given up the power or have been manipulated. The power has been manipulated away from you to be accountable and to stop something like that. So if you are being removed from financials, that means your partner is dishonest, manipulative, without empathy. That's all I can say. There's very little information in your question, but it sounds very, very serious, and you will need to get legal help and psychological help. Can medication help a covert narcissist? Yeah, if it keeps them sleeping all the time, and that's a joke, of course. No, it cannot. I wish it could, but there's no medication that has been effective for personality disorders. Mark, it's too long of a question, and I'm not sure what it is, so I'm going to move on. Is it common for either to have addiction, such as porn addiction? Okay, so addictions are independent of diagnoses. You can be SLD or a codependent and have an addiction, or sex addiction. You can have NPD and have an addiction, a covert addiction, covert narcissism problem and have an addiction. They're independent. But if you are a covert narcissist and you have an addiction, you have a very, very you have a lot riding on hiding it or trying to blame someone else. Okay. Is it common for a person with narcissistic mother or father to marry a narcissist? Pups, read My Human Magnet Syndrome. It's a thesis of the whole book of why people fall in love with others that are predictably narcissistic, why the narcissist and the SLD or codependent fall in love with each other, why it goes from generation to generation. Mike, what is the best way to distinguish a covert narcissist from an active codependent? They're not the same. There's nothing about them the same. So an active codependent, by definition, I created the term, so I should know the definition, is someone who is in a relationship where they give most, if not all, the love, respect, caring, and trust. In these relationships, it's not reciprocated, and they still stay in the relationship. The active codependent keeps trying to make it get better. The covert narcissist, there's nothing codependent about him. He pretends to be codependent. He pretends to be loving and caring and sacrificing. Those are not real, they're pretend. So let's not confuse the pretend with the diagnosis. Controlling by itself is not neither narcissistic or SLDD or codependent. It's independent. You can be a controlling SLD or codependent, and you certainly can be a controlling narcissist. But it doesn't, if someone is a controlling SLD, you're not a narcissist. Okay, looking for question marks. And no, medication still cannot help covert narcissists. Actually, I've gone backwards. Um, can covert narcissists stop stalking their exes? Yeah, if you hold them accountable and you seek a legal remedy towards it. Marnie, you're going to need to talk to someone because you're asking questions that tell me that your life perhaps might be in danger and that you've lost power. We people who are codependents or SLDs give away their power. We don't even know it. And if we're in a relationship with a covert narcissist, they take it away from us and we don't even know it. So the best thing that we should do, should you be in a relationship with a covert narcissist, is to find a psychotherapist, whether it's me or someone else, that you can share the whole thing and for them to be able to see the invisible. Because if you explain a covert narcissist to a therapist who doesn't understand anything, it won't compute. But Marnie, find someone, because this person sounds like they're gaslighting you, they're manipulating you, they're cheating you, and they're bullying you. And the power they have is the power you give away. Are you able to go a little into feigned ignorance in the, well, feigned ignorance, I mean, if you, it's just one of many tricks that sociopaths, covert narcissists use. Is, you know, it makes it, you are that way if you get something from it, if you are more liked, if you're more respected, or somehow you can learn more about someone whom you can exploit. So it's a trick in order to meet their narcissistic needs. Okay. Quick reminder, 30% sale for all the seminars at selfloverecovery.com. And these seminars are anywhere from 4 to 6 hours long. We have the 16-hour 50 Shades of Pathological Narcissism seminar package. And we are giving our 8th weekend retreat in Bellevue, Washington. Contact us at help@selfloverecovery.com if you want more information. All right. Let me go back to some more questions. Remember, and then with a question mark. Ursel says, how do these behaviors relate to broken ego? Okay, so Ursel, broken ego is a Freudian concept that is not really used within clinical circles anymore. So it doesn't really have a specific meaning, but I'm going to try to interpret what you mean. Covert narcissism relates to what you call a broken ego is because it all goes back to their personality disorder, which comes from severe psychological damage that throughout their life, they compensated by lying, cheating, pretending. So that, what I believe, is the broken ego that you talk about. Okay, guys, I want to remind you that end any question with the question mark so that I can answer them, because there's a lot of really good questions here. Here, I want to talk to you guys about something. And it's actually you probably saw my frustration earlier, is there are a lot of people out on YouTube that are coaches and some are therapists that make stuff up and come up with terms. And if you have a choice to follow someone, I'm not talking about me, but follow someone that has a mental health background, preferably master's or doctoral level, and even preferably with a license, because they're going to use terms that the rest of the world uses that you can ask anyone and everyone will understand the same. Okay. Anna says, is it normal to be apathetic after leaving a long-term relationship with a narc? If so, how do we recover? Well, Anna, I'm assuming that you are talking about yourself. If you are apathetic, means that you don't care or give a darn about stuff, I'm going to assume you're depressed and pretty beat up psychologically. That's not normal, by the way. What's normal is if you're an SLD or a codependent, you're going to go through intense pathological loneliness. It is going to be bone aching pain should you leave the narcissist or the narcissist leave you. And that is explained in detail in my book, The Human Magnet Syndrome. Okay, going back to some questions. How do you know you're fully healed from narcissistic abuse? Well, the only way to know is to look at the problem. The problem is not narcissistic abuse. What you can do with that problem is find a way to be safe and get rid of the perpetrator. But that's not the problem. The problem is this human magnet syndrome compelled attraction to what my therapist once told me, the same person with a different face, is that we keep, no matter our promises, falling in love with another pathological narcissist. And so if you are safe and free from narcissistic abuse and you have not acknowledged or understand what your self-love deficit disorder is and your attraction, your human magnet syndrome attraction to narcissists, it's going to happen again. So don't get lulled into this false feeling of safety. Get to the core of it. Are there videos for you, sir, with Arabic subtitles? No, but I would love someone to translate some of mine so we can put some of them on. Absolutely. The more I can get the world to understand my work, the better. Right now, my book, The Human Magnet Syndrome, is in 12 languages. I would be delighted to find someone who wanted to publish it in Arabic. How do you... okay. Emdr Therapy, clinically proven method for recovering from my ex-narcissist leaving me. No, EMDR, if something is too good to be true, it's probably not true. EMDR is a research-proven treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder and other forms of trauma. It does not help you recover from a problem or an experience of problems. It might help you recover from the PTSD related to from the problem, but it is never enough to solve the problem that keeps you attracted to pathological narcissists, so much so that you either intentionally or unintentionally allow yourself to get hurt. That is why I created my Healing the Inner Trauma Child trauma treatment method. It's called the Hitch method. And that is a 6-hour seminar video that is available now at 30% off at selfloverecovery.com. You need to get to the trauma in order to solve the problem. And the trauma we are talking about is attachment trauma. And that is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instances of trauma like CPTSD. It is the trauma of a lifetime. And that type of trauma requires a different type of treatment method, which I've created in my Self-Love Recovery Treatment Program. It's an 11-stage program. If you want to learn more about it, go to selfloverecovery.com. Okay. EMDR also is great, but it can't solve something as big as self-love deficit disorder. Matthew, personality disorders develop during one's childhood. I explain that in the Human Magnet Syndrome, I believe in chapter 10, and I might even have a YouTube video on that, and certainly explain it in my 50 Shades series at selfloverecovery.com. It's beyond the topic of the discussion, but I'll just leave it at that. Do I believe in gang stalking? That has nothing to do with this video, but yes, I do believe in it, and it's horrible and very, very heartbreaking. I am missing all the compliments because I'm looking for the questions. So all those people that are saying sweet and kind things, thank you so much. But I'm trying to keep up on the questions. All right, Minnesota. Can enablers be covert narcissists? Okay, again, Minnesota, you got to use terms that are accepted. If we're talking about codependents, or what I call self-love deficit disordered people, and we're going to call them enablers, they cannot be a narcissist. They can't be. They're different things. I talk about that in my book, and I certainly talk about that in my videos. I need to find, oh, here we are. So we got to get the terms right. People who are codependent, that I now call people with self-love deficit disorder, enable narcissists or addicts, and they this enabling behavior comes from the whole human magnet syndrome compelled book dynamic. By the way, the book is available at my website or on Amazon. Okay, next question. So Minnesota, I want to say that these narcissists benefit from because they get benefit. Yeah, of course. If this enabler or SLD is with a narcissist, it's because the narcissist wants to exploit them, and especially if they're sociopathic. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I burped. How can I support a friend who's constantly attracted to these types of people in romantic relationships? Okay, so I don't know what your name is, but is it I? Well, that's cool. Well, there are times that I'm trying to promote my work because it's my job and that's how I make a living. But in this case, I am not. Have them read my Human Magnet Syndrome book, because the only way you can solve a problem is you have to know about it. And if you are gaslit, if you are perpetually in a relationship with covert narcissists, and you are you are seeing all these videos on YouTube that are saying these nasty sons of guns are this and that, and they're bad. Most of these people are probably right, but they're missing what's essential. Is the SLD, the codependent, keeps falling in love with them and stays in the relationship. So this is never a one person bad problem. It's two people that are psychologically impaired coming together. And so if you're going to help your friend, they have to understand what the problem is. And if they're watching YouTube and learning that the problem is narcissistic abuse or these mean, nasty narcissists, which they are, well, that gives them information about one part of it. But the part that's going to save them is the part that has to do with them. If you keep going back, then it has to do with you as much as the manipulator. So have them read my book, have them go to YouTube or go to my selfloverecovery.com website, where I have full-length seminar videos, which, by the way, are on sale. How do you set boundaries with people when you have too much empathy to hurt their feelings? Anthony, you're like one video away from my answer. I just created a video about what people call empaths. And the problem is not being empathetic. The problem is not being an empath. Again, too many bad YouTube videos teaching people the wrong thing. To be empathetic is good. To be an empath is wonderful. I mean, to be healthy and self-love abundant and to be empathetic, to want to help people, to feel their pain, beautiful stuff. But when you say, how do you set boundaries with people when you have too much empathy to hurt your feelings? It's not your empathy is the problem. It's your self-love deficit disorder. It's your codependency. And I don't say that to make you feel bad, but to tell you that if you are following the candy-coated information you're reading or hearing on YouTube, it makes you feel good. But it doesn't offer you a solution. Don't lose your empathy. but understand how your empathy is exploited by pathological narcissists and why you, like I did for like way too many years of my life, was a perpetual victim to that. Okay. How can only 140 people be here? I'm thinking, SMAC, that's a compliment. Thanks. Okay. Looking for a question mark. Okay. Question mark. Okay, guys. Ask a question. I'm going to take a break. I'm taking a break. Remember, I work for a living, so let me give you another commercial. Got a book, Human Magnet Syndrome. It's in 12 languages, available at selfloverecovery.com, 30% off, or at Amazon. Doing our 8th intensive self-love recovery weekend retreat. Been doing those for a long time. They help people understand and ultimately overcome their self-love deficit disorder or codependency. We're having a 30% sale on selfloverecovery.com. Commercial is over. Thank you for dealing with that. Buona notte. Well, gosh, I used to know a little bit. I'm assuming that's Italian. If not, I apologize. Can narcissists be covered in psychological sessions? I don't know what you mean by covered. And I'm sure, Marcia, it's a language issue. So if you can rephrase that, because I don't know which way to go. But if you're in psychotherapy and you have a therapist who understands pathological narcissism, who understands self-love deficit disorder or codependency, then they will cover it, because a part of good therapy is to explain the problem that keeps happening that the person does not see. If you cannot see that, your broken picker keeps picking the wrong person, or that you don't understand that you have SLDD addiction or codependency addiction, that should you leave the narcissist, your withdrawal symptoms of deep loneliness pull you back, or you don't understand what hoovering is, or the myriads of things that I address in my 18-hour 50 Shades of Pathological Narcissism video series, you can't overcome your part of the problem. And by the way, you can buy everything that I sell, my books, this, that, and the other, and none of it will help you if you aren't able or willing or ready to acknowledge your part of the problem. I say this with tons of empathy. I'm not blaming, but when we understand our self-love deficit disorder, our codependency, and why we keep falling in love with people that want to hurt us, and we can embrace that, that's the important step that changes everything. Now, it does not excuse narcissists to abuse us, but it tells us what we got to work on, because you can't change the narcissist. No way, you can't. They have personality disorders, but you can change yourself, and it's hard as hell because of all of the different layers of self-love deficit disorder. So if you want to find out more about that, you know where to go. Ursel, your question wasn't, do they mimic the abuser? It's not, I don't know what that question means. Jennifer, can a covert narcissist be on the spectrum so some could actually be aware or some level and get help? Jennifer, great question. And I only say that because it leads me into something that I wrote. In the Human Magnet Syndrome, I created a theory called the relationship compatibility theory that shows that there is a spectrum of people who tend to take care of others and people that tend to take care of themselves. There's two sides, and each side is a spectrum. At the very extreme of the caretakers is codependency or self-love deficit disorder. At the very side of the people that just want people to take care of themselves is pathological narcissism. So I created this theory to help people understand that it's not all or nothing, covert narcissist or no narcissist. So yes, check out that part of the book and you'll understand that once you see this in a spectrum, then you can see yourself moving forward and understand what happens as you do that. Okay. People with personality disorders, people with SLDD or codependency, professions will attract certain personality types, which have nothing to do with pathology or mental disorders. And then there are that will attract people with problems. Psychotherapy attracts people with SLDDs, self-love deficit disorder, or codependency. Divorce attorneys attract pathological narcissists. It doesn't mean all divorce attorneys are narcissists and all therapists are SLDs. So absolutely, you want to go into a career that fits your personality. Okay. Renata, why male narcissist hates women but needs them to survive? Well, Renata, that's a generalization. And what hopefully you're learning or will learn is that personality and so many other dimensions of what makes a person are independent to the actual personality disorder. So if someone is a covert narcissist, or let's just say garden variety person with narcissistic personality disorder, and they are misogynists and they hate women, there are people that don't like women that don't have personality disorders. Now, I think it's a problem, but I don't know if I would diagnose it as a personality disorder. So if the narcissist that you know of hates women, first, but needs them to survive, first question, of course, is are they, what is their sexual orientation? Maybe they aren't, and I did a whole YouTube video of pathological narcissists pretending to be straight in order to exploit someone in a relationship. So, so if this narcissist hates women but needs them to survive, that means he's probably a covert narcissist or a sociopath. And I kind of wonder about their sexual orientation, but you know, I don't want to try to expand something that I don't know a lot about. Anthony, what would be your first step recommendation to start healing SLDD? It's a great question. It's interesting because if you know about my self-love recovery treatment program that I call the Codependency Cure, it's a 11-stage program that I have developed over many, many years. And it's a program that I actually provide people who come see me either can get general psychotherapy or can be connected to my self-love recovery treatment program. And the very first stage of it is hitting bottom, realizing that if you don't change, you will break apart and have this existential, painful death. And when you hit bottom and can see the light and think that maybe there's hope, that's the first step. The next step is getting help and talking to someone. And then there are so many more steps that I talk about. And I have a specific video. I have several videos. I have the 6-hour Codependency Cure video and the 4-hour video that talks about my 11-stage self-love recovery treatment program. Okay, Anonymous, you got it wrong. Wait, hold on. Maybe you got it right. Maybe I read it wrong. I always wondered if my husband was more than a covert narcissist. Oh, okay, never mind. My bad. Maybe he is, but I don't know. A covert narcissist is as bad as anyone could ever. It's a nightmare. But the only thing worse than a covert narcissist is Actually, I won't say that. I was going to say what's worse than a covert narcissist is a full-fledged sociopath, someone with antisocial personality disorder. But I think the covert narcissist is worse because they can pretend and they do it really well. So if that's what you got, that's really, really bad. All right. Okay. Alpha, you're using a term I don't know about, the hidden narcissist. I'm assuming you mean the covert narcissist. If he puts his hand on your neck, it means a couple things. One is he's just trying to establish dominance and to see what your reaction is, because if you don't do nothing and you look scared, you've now given away a lot of information. It could mean that he's grooming you, that he likes violence, maybe violence and sex, and he's trying to slowly condition you to make you more tolerant of such physical gestures that ultimately will be pain. But whatever it is, it's dangerous, and if you can't, get the hell away. But let's give him a ray of benefit, which I don't know if we should, but that's up to you. If he doesn't know he's doing it, all you have to do is say, stop it. If you're an SLD, which I suspect you might be, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, that will be hard for you to do. But that's the litmus test. Okay. Alexandria, are the covert narcissist parents the worst ones? Yeah, I think so. And it reminds me of a story I had back in the olden days, maybe about 12 years ago. I owned a counseling center in Arlington Heights, Illinois, and I had a kid, this is all superfluous, that was actually, I probably shouldn't say his high school in case that guy still works there, but his dad was a very well-known, beloved coach and counselor at the high school. Everyone loved him. The principals loved him. The teachers loved him. The kids loved him. And he'd remember everyone's name, but he would go home and treat everyone like dogs. He was like any covert narcissist. They don't hide it behind the scenes. And this kid was so psychologically damaged because his father was so abusive and neglectful of him. He got to see how he loved others. So yes, I'm kind of thinking just because of that, makes it worse. Pup 7, I'm looking at your program. Where'd you go? Which could be best for me to heal? Well, the program is not, Pups, is not the video. If I was a manipulator, and I'm not, I'd say buy my video, read my book, and everything will be fine. No, it's part of the path. The program is the psychotherapy with me. And to be completely transparent, it's on the expensive side. Right now, I wish I could say there's someone else that does that, but I don't know. But if you find someone that does, find them. If you don't have that type of financial resources, then the other option is to purchase the educational, inspirational videos that I have at Self-Love Recovery Institute, because they are meant to give people as much information as possible of problems. And watch my YouTube videos and stay tuned, because I am creating, hopefully in the next 6 months, maybe sooner, a online codependency cure program. I'm going to try to get that out as soon as possible, and I know that will help a lot of people. Kyla, no, Kyla, you either misunderstood me or I misspoke. Covert narcissists are the type, it's a person, they remember they have narcissistic personality disorder, and they have traits of sociopathy or sociopath. They are, unlike the person with NPD, they know who they are and they know what they're doing, and they are conscious of how they hurt people. Where did you go? You say that, no, they know exactly what they're doing. So no, Viscerati, how do you diagnose NPD? Okay, Viscerati, it's very, this is funny. It's very simple to diagnose them if you know what you're doing. And that's a ridiculous statement, and I know. But if you're a trained psychotherapist in diagnostic procedure, and not every therapist is, even if they're licensed, there is a certain diagnostic protocol that you go through, that you match symptoms reported and observed in order to match that up with real diagnoses. And so narcissistic personality disorder, if you go to the DSM, 5 or the ICD 11 or 12, which are the diagnostic manuals, they list a number of symptoms, and you have to have a certain amount to qualify for the diagnosis. That is how you diagnose them. But the thing is, it's not easy to diagnose a pathological narcissist because they lie, they cheat, they withhold things, and they pretend. So you have to get information in all sorts of ways that they will not offer to you. Okay. Terry. Can a covert narcissist have a good marriage and be a good parent and be nasty to others? I'm going to break down your question. Can a covert narcissist have a good marriage? If you ask the covert narcissist, absolutely. They get everything they want. They get the wife that they can treat badly, or the husband, and they can ignore while pretending to be a nice person on the outside, but it's not a good marriage for the victim, the person with self-love deficit disorder, the codependency. The marriage sucks. Can they be a good parent? No. If you have a personality disorder, you can't be a good parent. You can pretend to be a good parent, or you are a good parent if you are doing things that feel good to you. But ultimately, you lack empathy, compassion, and you only will do things that people need if it makes you feel good. And so if your child needs something other than you want to give, then ultimately that leads to the truth of your poor parenting. And yes, you can be nasty to others if you're a covert narcissist, but covert narcissists try to limit that because that goes against their diagnosis. Okay, guys, I have been doing this. How long have I been doing this? Oh my gosh, this is the longest YouTube live I've ever done. And I guess it's because all the great questions. You guys are inspiring me. So I'm going to do just a few more, and I'm going to call it a night. So, which means if you ask questions, I might not get to it. 2 more questions, and they will be by people who haven't asked questions. Would you, New Being, I like that name. What would you say there is a narcissism, lack of self-love relationship going on between government authorities and people? Oh my gosh, that could be a book I need to write. Absolutely. I look at some cultures as being predominantly narcissistic, some being predominantly SLDD. I look at what's going on in politics. Absolutely. And it's so very complicated. I have to just say that. Okay. You are so welcome, so welcome, so welcome. Last question. Who's the lucky one? I'm at the bottom waiting for that question. I feel like it's a lottery here. Bam! SMAC. Last question, guys. How can they switch from extreme love to hate to love again and not realize that? Okay, SMAC, you are talking about someone with borderline personality disorder. They are not covert narcissists. It's a personality disorder that is different. I still consider them a pathological narcissist. Remember, pathological narcissists either have borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, which includes covert narcissism, or antisocial personality disorder, which is sociopathy. The person with borderline personality disorder, I have several YouTube videos, and I have information at selfloverecovery.com. I'll answer this last one. That's a great one. Alexandra, do you consider yourself cured? Okay. No. Yes. The reason I'm laughing is It's what is the definition of the codependency cure? And wow, this answer is a very long answer that I'm going to make really short, because I have all sorts of information offered in my book and at selfloverecovery.com to go into detail. Is codependency is self-love deficit disorder. And to understand self-love deficit disorder is to understand that everyone seeking therapy for it are seeking therapy for, if you look at it as a pyramid, for the symptoms of the problem. And if you have a cough, but the symptoms is asthma, and you keep giving someone cough medicine, it'll make the cough go down a little bit, but it won't take care of the problem. Well, the primary cause of SLDD is attachment trauma, and that is the trauma caused by being raised in a family with a pathologically narcissistic parent and a codependent parent. From there is core shame, is this fundamental belief that you're unlovable, that you are inherently broken, and that you can never be loved for just who you are. From that is pathological loneliness. It's this existential bone aching pain that unless you are in a relationship, you suffer the core shame and the self-hate or the self-love deficit disorder. The next thing on the pyramid, right below the top, is SLDD addiction. It's the compulsive yearning to make that pain go away. And that is to be in a relationship. The addiction is the relationship to escape the pain of the loneliness. And if you should fall out of that relationship, the withdrawal symptom is pathological loneliness. So if that is the problem, then we have to have the solution. And the solution is the pyramid that is the opposite. It is the resolution of attachment trauma. Core shame is feeling lovable and perfect, good, just because you are. That there's nothing about you that feels inherently broken. It's essentially self-love. Pathological loneliness, an existential disease, becomes existential peace, that no matter where you are, you're not suffering. Now, you can have a bad day or something bad could happen to you, but you are not burdened by the suffering of the loneliness, that bone aching pain. And the SLDD addiction, then, because of my codependency cure treatment program, becomes a healthy compulsion to first take care of yourself and then find a place for someone else who can be reciprocally connected to that. There's not an addiction. The compulsion is to take care of yourself. At the very top of that pyramid is self-love abundance. So if we look at what I call the codependency cure, or the goal of my self-love recovery treatment program is to reach self-love abundance. The cure is to be self-love abundant. And when you become self-love abundant, it doesn't mean you don't have any problems. It doesn't mean you're perpetually happy. I mean, that'd be great, but it's not realistic. It means that you don't fall prey to anyone that treats you bad because you love yourself so much. Everything changes. You still have problems, but you solve them. You can have a breakup or even a divorce. You are not burdened or destroyed because of it. So if you ask me, am I cured? I will say, I have reached self-love abundance and still am working on my issues. Self-love abundance is not the absence of problems. And I created the term self-love deficit disorder and its opposite, self-love abundance, not to explain all problems. There are different problems. There's anxiety, there's acute shyness, there's depression, there's so many other problems that someone with self-love abundance can have, but they don't destroy themselves in the process of solving it and don't let other people destroy them. So I am self-love abundant, and the cure is a lifestyle. And if that resonates for you, I recommend strongly read the Human Magnet Syndrome, because that's the first part of my treatment program. When I work or come email us at help@selfloverecovery.com, because I have availabilities for psychotherapy or counseling. But I require that my book is read. One is it saves a lot of money, because I think the book's $20, actually $16.99 on Amazon. And I charge much more for 45 minutes. And that sets up a basis or a foundation for where we start. And life is too short. And my favorite saying is, it's never too late to be the person you should have been. So let me end by saying, if you want to know more about anything that I talked about, I have very detailed educational seminars that are created for kind of what I call right in the middle, for therapists and the general public, whether it's about pathological narcissism, which I recommend the 50 Shades package, or any of the things about my self-love deficit disorder or codependency cure or the addiction. Go to selfloverecovery.com and check out the audio or video. Watch my YouTube videos and pay attention to what's going to come around the corner, because I'm always thinking of something new. I am in the process of writing the third edition, the 10-year anniversary edition of my book, Human Magnet Syndrome. And I just finished the introduction, and I am creating, just like when I wrote the second edition, I changed everything. Not change everything, I changed a lot, because I keep learning more myself. I keep figuring things out. And so I'm hoping that that will be done in 3 or 4 months. And there will be even more information that is more updated about things. And I will do my best to keep you guys in mind when I do my YouTube videos. I do them every week, and I'm really committed to that. And I try to give you guys good stuff for no cost. And that's my pleasure. It's the least I can do. Next week is one on empaths, and I talk a little bit about that. So thank you for all of your support. Should you be interested in anything that Self-Love Recovery Institute does, interested in our upcoming weekend intensive Self-Love Recovery Retreat in Bellevue, shoot us an email at help@selfloverecovery.com, or just go to the website, selfloverecovery.com. You guys are awesome. You must have been really awesome, because you kept me on, and I'm teasing you, because no one, for almost 70 minutes, and it was a lot of fun. But it's time for me to end my day and enjoy the company of my lovely wife and just relax a little bit. You guys take care, and you be well.